6:30. Cool. So we will be looking at the practice challenge we just did. The which one was it? The restaurant, the pizza restaurant. Was it pizza restaurants? Did I? I don't remember which one was. Which one did I post? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So let's take a look at what we've got here. That's the one there. Awesome. Cool. Sweet. How did anyone feel like they didn't get all the way through it? Awesome. What parts of it did you feel like you were stuck on?
I think for me, since last night, I was just struggling with like the post request with valid data, like everything else I had done. But it's just, I think there's a gap in my knowledge. So I'm hoping like this resolves it. But other than I'm feeling like quite confident.
Cool.
Just that post request, yeah.
Awesome. Anything specific about the post request?
I'm just not passing the test when I go ahead and create. It won't create. The errors work fine. The errors will go through. It's just the 3 tests for the. It just won't create for me. I don't know why. I do the .create exception exclamation thing, and then I create a private method for the params, and then pass that in. But still, on.
Cool. Yeah. We'll take a look at it and see if we don't answer your questions, and we'll walk through it and find out what a little bit is wrong there. Anyone else have stuff they struggled with? That we'd like to address? No, great. Feeling good then. I'm gonna pop my. Probably have to. Yeah, the typos will do it. Yeah, man. Break everything all at once. Let's see. Phase 4 code that up. Alrighty. I should probably share my screen so y'all can see this. Share screen. There we go. Cool. Get the chat up. See, folks. Come on, Zoom. Okay, cool. Hide meeting controls. Great. So this is what we've got here. Chat goes over there. Let's take a look at the README for a minute and see what we're doing. So open in good view. There we go. So
practice, Christian McCaffrey, knee will not practice. Elijah, knee won't practice. Armstead, foot, ankle will be limited. Burford, ankle, limited or will not practice. We got to warm them up out there and see. Anyway.
I think you might be unmuted there. Cool. So this is our domain here is pizza restaurants. We can see we've got our models here. We have pizzas and we have restaurants, and we have our join is the pizza restaurant. So pizzas have, all of them have IDs, of course. Pizzas have a name and ingredients, which are strings, and the created ats, which are built in, basically daytimes. Our restaurants have a name and address, which is also strings. Nice. And then they're joined up by our restaurant pizzas table that looks at the IDs of the restaurants and the pizzas, and that also has a price. So let's go ahead and generate the models for this. I'm going to pop open. Let me do it in the terminal here. Great. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and generate our models, and there. Great. So we have, there we go. We have a few things we want here. We have, let's start off with the pizzas. So we're just going to Rails, and you can Rails, or I think you can rake it as well. Generate volume Rails. We're going to generate our, let's generate the resource so we have all the stuff there. And let's do the pizza, right? And I go back and forth whether I like doing it on the command line or doing it by hand in there. I think I'll just do it on the command line this time. This is just going to generate your files. You can always go through and edit them, no matter what it puts in there for you. So I'm just going to say we've got our well, since they're strings, we don't have to specify it. So yeah, so let's say name ingredients. You know what? Actually, instead of having that, let me find the. Where is the repo? There it is. Let me get it over here so we can look at it in our browser instead of having to mess with it. Chat over there too. Awesome. Sweet. So here is our. Bring it over there too. Yeah, remember to start the server. Yep, for sure. Cool. So let's look at what we have done to ourselves here. There's a conflict. Oh, I need to do it with no tests. That's right. Actually, let me nope, over that. Do not overwrite that. Nope, don't overwrite that. Great. Hopefully that's not gonna mess up the things. If you did forget, like I just did, to do the no tests, I think it tells you here, do no test framework. Make sure you put this in here, or else it's going to try and overwrite your RSpecs, which may happen. So if your stuff looks right to you and your tests don't work, that may be what you did. Cool. Let's close that out. So that created our, what do we got here? We got our pizza model, we got our pizza controller, and to make a serializer for us. Yes, it did. Awesome. And it just has the basic stuff in there. Sometimes when I just create the resource from scratch without giving the fields in it, it just creates a serializer with ID, and then I spend the first 5 minutes wondering why it's not returning me anything but the ID. So that's one nice thing if you use a generator to do the field on the command line, you get your stuff there. So that's nice. So it looks like everything is all set up. We should have a migration here for us. Great, it's created that for us. Timestamps are on there. Amazing. So let's go ahead and this is way better. What else we got here? We've got our restaurant that just has a name and address. So let's just go ahead and do the same thing here. Name, address. And yep, I just did the thing that I just said not to do. Cool. And let's do the pizzas. I'm just gonna throw the price in there on the command line, and I'll put the other ones in by hand. And I'm gonna do the no test framework this time so you can see the right way to do it. For multiple word ones, do I put it all in one word? I think so, yeah. So we'll just do a Rails generate resource for restaurant pizzas. Yeah. We're just gonna put the price in there and say it's an integer. Ooh, I haven't done it on the command line in a long time. The number integer. Say price. I'll change it in the. I'll change it in the migration. There we go. Oh, and I did not do the thing I literally just said I was going to do. Oh boy. Okay. This is a number integer. Okay. But we made it through anyway. And all the tests should totally fail at this point. That's expected. If they pass here, we know it's a problem. Great. I didn't do a bundle install. That'll probably help. There we go. Migrations are pending. Oh yeah, let's run the migrations. That's a great idea. Get our database all set up. Table pizzas already exists. Awesome. I've probably done this in the past. Let me pop open Postgres. Or actually, I can just do it from the command line. Do drop db pizzas. Well, it begs to differ. Let me see. Oh, because I'm not using Postgres. And how about this? We will. There's our SQLite database. Let's just delete it. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So the SQLite 3 there, the database, just like any database, only a little bit more transparency here, is literally just a file on your computer. You can open it up and you'll see all the binary in there. So if for some reason your SQLite database gets rough beyond recognition, you can just delete it and start over. That's why migrations are great. So I will close that menu somehow. There we go. Cool. Migrations are done. I need to add the other stuff to that one. Let's do our RSpec. Now we should get some good failing tests. Yes, great. That's what I want. Awesome. So let me go ahead and add in our foreign keys here. Again, a bunch of different ways you can do this. At least 3 I can think of off the top of my head. I just like making them integers because that's ultimately what they are. So I'm going to do a pizza ID. And I'm going to do a restaurant ID. Come on, I'm going to do a restaurant ID. Come on. There we go. Cool. And so that's our migrations. We've got that price pizza ID, restaurant ID. Of course, it has its own ID. Got name and address for our restaurants, and we've got name and ingredients for our pizzas. Fantastic. So we also need to set up our relationships here. That's going to be in our models. Boom, boom. So here are our models. Pop that open there. Great. Good, good, good. Sure I'm not missing anything over there. Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, so popping open our models here, we've got our pizza model, our restaurant model, and our restaurant pizza model. And we want to add our relationships. I'm probably going to want to add our validations in there as well, right? So cool. A restaurant has many pizzas. Well, let's back it up because that's a weird order to do it in. Restaurant pizza belongs to a restaurant. Restaurant pizza belongs to a pizza. And then a restaurant has many pizzas through that. Pizza has many restaurants through that. So that should be pretty easy to set up. Let's do the belongs to. Yeah. In our restaurant pizzas. So we can just do belongs to a pizza. Belongs to a pizza. And belongs to a restaurant. And we don't need to add. Do we want to add? Yeah, we'll do that afterwards. Cool. Then our restaurant is going to have many pizzas, right? Pizzas through restaurant pizza. And I always, for a long time, had a lot of trouble remembering where all the colons go and everything. Ruby is quote unquote elegant and makes a lot of the what I think is useful punctuation go away that you'll see in like JavaScript. So has many as a macro, which is just a plain old function that happens to generate code. So it's writing the accessors and setters and all that. So basically you would have this part in parentheses. So it kind of looks like that. And then this is actually a object list of key values. And the way we do, just like in JavaScript, objects are with a colon, and Ruby uses these symbols, which always start with a colon there. So that's breaking it back down into what it's actually looking for helps remember the arbitrary looking stuff where the colons go. Anna, yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah, I forgot how this worked, but when we were doing the Rails G resource in the beginning to create it, I remember in a previous example, we also created the relationship in that line.
Yeah, I think you can do that.
But can you do has many as well, or is it just the belongs to that you could do in that one line?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I tend to do it in an editor anyway. I almost never do that in the generators, but that's a great question. I am not sure.
Okay, just curious. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it'd be cool if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's add the same thing to our pizzas, which has many restaurants, comma, through, colon, restaurant pizza. Awesome. And I think that is actually all they require there, right?
I have a couple questions about this. So
Yeah,
do you not have to do has many restaurant pizzas first?
I do. Yep, you're
You
absolutely
do.
right.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
And then also, wouldn't it be restaurant pizzas or with S?
Restaurant pizzas, yes. Cool. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, definitely need many restaurant pizzas for that to work. 100%. Let's put it there. Great. Cool. That will probably work way better. Sweet. I think the only thing else we want to do in our models is adding the validation to the restaurant pizza model. And that's going to look like, so we're going to have our validates, let's put it here. So validates is another macro, validates to write us some code. And we want to validate, what do we want to validate? The price. So it's going to be that field there. And couple different ways to do it. I like to do it with you do it with inclusion, I guess. Inclusino. Inclusion, and you can just say 1, right? 1 to 30. There are other ways to do it, which I don't remember off the top of my head. This is the way I usually do it. So I'm pretty sure inclusion range. I think it's inclusion. I could look up if it doesn't work. So let's do our migrate again. Right, DB migrate. See if that blows up. Looks great, cool. So I feel like we should pass some tests here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I saw some green up there. Can access that, can access that. Boom, great, there's that. Can't access the associated pizza in restaurant.
Yeah, you forgot an S.
Oh, you're right. There we go. So let's double check and make sure that works. Command K to clear it out, make it easy. Great. I saw some good green up there. Awesome. So we've got our model set up. We've got our relationship set up. That part feels good. Awesome. Any questions about any of this part? All right. All right. Let's see what's next. We want to set up some routes. Of course we do. So let's set up our routes and restaurant first. Sure, why not? That's going to be in our restaurants controller, restaurants _controller. Great. What do we want here? We want a get. So that's going to be and let me double check and see if it did any routing for us here. I believe it's going to give us all the stuff, but not in client and config. So yeah, so we're getting all the resources. We probably don't want all the resources. It will yell at us about that. We will fix it when it yells at us. But for now, let's go ahead and look at the restaurants controller. So the route has generated the routes for all the things, all the resources, which we're going to want to narrow down when we get to that part. But for now, we can just do a get restaurants. And so that's going to be an index method in our controller, right? So I can say def get index. And what do we want it to do here? We just want it to return the JSON in the format below, ID, name, address. Cool. So we just want to render JSON, and we just want to get a list of all the restaurants. Restaurant all. I think that's all we need, right? Unless the serializer needs to get name, address. I think that's, yeah, great. Get ourselves another green check mark if that works. Saw some more green up there. Restaurants. Boom. Just that easy. Cool. Next up is the ID. So if the restaurant exists, return the thing in this format. Yes. Which means we're going to have to mess with the serializer a little bit. So we want to do a, and that is going to be not an index, but a show. That's right. So def show, and cool. So we want to get the restaurant. So restaurant find from the params ID. So that should get us the ID that's passed in. And let's just assign that to a variable for now. Cool, just for ease of looking at. So we want to render out the thing just for that restaurant. It's pretty straightforward. Render JSON restaurant. But it's going to need a serializer. That is, so we need a special serializer for this because we still want it to just return name and address and ID for all of them. So let's go ahead and write a serializer that gives it the name, address, and then a list of pizzas. Awesome. So I'm going to call that, what am I going to call it? Let's call it the restaurant with pizzas serializer. Yeah, let me put it in proper. Much easier to type when I'm not talking at the same time. Cool. So we need this to be a serializer. So we're going to create a class for it that matches the name. I don't know if it needs to have the name serializer in it. I know Rails is really particular about a lot of things. I've never actually tried it in a different way. Let's find out. Well, not right now. I'll find out later when I try it. So this is going to be a serializer, and we need to have it inherit from active model. I think it's just serializer. Yeah, great. And in the serializer, we're just going to tell it what attributes to render out. So attributes. We're going to want our ID. We want our name. And we want our address. And also, we want to render out the has many pizzas of it, right? I think that's all we need to do. So it should render out name, ID, name, address, and then the list of pizzas there. And that's how you tell your serializer to do it. But we also need to tell it to use the serializer, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to render JSON, and I'm just going to tell it what serializer to use in lowercase. And it's going to be the restaurants with pizza serializer. Yeah, that looks right. Let's see if it gets some more green. Awesome. Cool. And returns an array of all the restaurants with that. And importantly, we don't get the nested pizzas in our index there. We didn't get this here. Returns the matching restaurant with associated pizza failed. Why did it fail? let's see. Show restaurant find params ID render JSON. Nope, that's all right. Restaurant, serializer, restaurant with pizzas. Serializer. Let's see what it's getting that it doesn't like. Down here. Unprocessable entity, great. Yeah. Restaurant pizzas with invalid. That's great. That's a post. We don't care about that. What are we looking at here? This is error number what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish. Great. So there we go. Error uninitialized constant restaurants controller rest oh, did I spell it right? RESTAURANT with pizza serializer. Restaurant with pizzas serializer. Yes, I did. And let's make sure. Restaurant with pizzas serializer. Restaurant with pizzas serializer. Restaurant with pizzas serializer. Okay. One little letter can ruin your whole day. But reading the error message definitely helps. Did we get a green there? Great, we got a green there. So now we need to handle that error message if we get a bad ID. So let's go back to our controller here. So we're going to want to do our rescue from here. So we'll do rescue from. Why'd you do that? Rescue from, and we want to rescue from what? Restaurant not found. So it's going to be the record not found, I think. Active model, active record. Active record not found. And then we want to write a little function for that. I'll make it private. Really doesn't have to be private, but by tradition, I guess we do that. So let's make a method called render reference resource here. Record not found response. It's going to take the error in there, the exception. And so we're going to give this the record not found response. So it knows to, I need to say rescue from with, and give it the symbol so it knows that's a, Ruby uses the symbols as kind of the same way you would pass functions around in JavaScript. It's a little bit janky, but you get used to it. Cool. So in this record not found response, I'm going to render our JSON, and the JSON wants to look like this. It's an object error restaurant not found. Great, easy. If my fingers cooperate. Error. And then we need to give it our status code, right? When I'm writing my own stuff, I tend to use the numbers here just because I know them. It's like a 304. But that's the Rails symbol for that same thing. I'm like 80% confident on this one. We'll see. This is the part where I always gotta have to look stuff up. The handling errors, guys. I'm so used to programming it like with the numbers and all that stuff, and Rails has names for everything, which is easy if you know them. But if you don't, you have to look up all that. But here, hey, we did great. Cool. So that's our Git with handling the error and with our serializer in there. Any questions about that?
I have a doubt. What do you use include for like when we we write include right after render JSON sometimes. Like how
Oh
do
yeah.
we
Yeah, so
how do we use that?
you can use the include fields for that. I don't know if it, well, it might work with that. Let's find out. So if we do include pizzas, I wonder if that'll just do it. I seem to remember there's some reason that didn't give the right response here. I don't remember what it was. Yeah. What did it get back instead? Oh, why don't I give it the symbol instead? Mhm. Nope, it doesn't like that at all. Why not? Based on adamant path pizza that's missing. I know that looks right. Or is that what's it expecting? Expecting that, and instead, yeah, there's something. I think it might be with the associations. There's something that doesn't work with the includes. I'd have to dig into it further though. Were you able to get it working with includes?
I tried, I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, there's something about it that it doesn't like. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Because the result in one of the labs, the result was similar like what we wanted in our test. But then it did not work. So I was wondering if it was not valid here.
Yeah, I think it feels like it should be valid with the because it's maybe no, that should do it. I'm not sure. Why wouldn't it do that? Let's see. Rails show route JSON include. Did I say includes or include? Let's try it with includes. No, still think that's nope, still no. Oh yeah. Yeah, that totally works. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't totally work. It works for the errors. Yeah, why wouldn't that do what we want? There's some includes. Man, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to spend some time digging around to figure that out. But I know there's a reason. I don't remember what the reason is. Sorry.
I worked for like a long time on one of the mock challenges to try to get include work in this exact same situation, and I could not get it to work. So
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like it seems like it's just not the right context for it.
Yeah, it feels like that's the perfect place for it. It's frustrating as that though. I agree. Yeah, I'll dig that up and see if I can figure out. I think you're right. I think it's a context thing. Yeah, we'll take a look at it later. But in this case, Serializer is the way to go. Great question though. Make me think. Any other questions about this part?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I didn't use a rescue statement. I used a if-else statement,
Yep.
effectively returning the same hash. Is that a problem according to the rules or the
No.
deliverables?
Yeah, that if it works, it works. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's how I instinctively want to do it, and I know Rails doesn't want me to do it that way.
Yeah, I usually start with that and then add the rescue statement after. I was just curious.
Yeah, I am not a Rails programmer. I do Rails literally only for this class. I haven't touched it professionally in several years. So my instincts are generally ones that work across platforms, JavaScript or .NET or Python or whatever. So when I get to Rails, Rails has all sorts of things that if you are a Rails developer are really useful because you use them all the time because you're knocking out websites for whatever. If you're just coming to Rails for the first time or one of your many projects uses Rails, it takes some adjustment, and that's one of the Rails is really great for doing it if you are used to Rails. If you're just coming at it, there's a little bit of a curve there. But yeah, so the other way, short version, other way is totally fine, as far as I'm concerned. Other questions? All right. Let's get our destruction on here. So if the restaurant exists, it should be removed from the database along with any restaurant pizza. Oh, I have an answer. Yeah, great. So the reason I think we want to prefer a rescue in Rails is cases like this. So we can do it if then, but we're going to have to do that same if then in our show, in our destroy, if we do an update. So we're going to have to do that same logic in multiple places. And the rescue just kind of like, I mean, that's literally what that, if you have the source code for Rails available, it's just Ruby. So you can dig through it and find out how it does stuff if you're curious. And I think literally what it does, the rescue from macro injects code into your class that basically is one of those if thens that just says, if it matches this error, then return something else. But it lets you do it in one place instead of many places. Cool. Or it lets you do it in one place and it handles many cases because it's handling an error on the controller itself, not on the method, which is pretty nice. But I still default to doing it the other way until I remember. Cool. If restaurant exists, we have a database along with any restaurant pizzas. Great. We need to delete the restaurant pizzas before the restaurant can be deleted. Yeah. Do we want to do the yeah, we'll get there when we get there. So let's see. We want to make our destroy method, right? Destroy. And what do we want to do? We want to find our restaurant. So we're gonna get our restaurant. And this is another case. I just copy pasted the same code. Let's just do this. Although it's not going to help us immediately. Just have a little function that returns that. So even though this does not save me any time right now in this case, if I were to continue working on this, it would be nice to have. Great. So in fact, I could just pull this out and put that there. Wow. But in this case, we want to do a .destroy on it. So it's going to find the restaurant. It's going to find the restaurant, call destroy on it, and then I think it just wants us to return an empty body. Cool. Empty body. So it's going to be render the no, not render. Head. No content. Right. So it's saying instead of sending a full response, it's only sending the HTTP head section and with nothing in it. So it's going to get an empty response. And since we have our rescue from, we don't need to handle that any further in the destroy. I think. Let's see what happens. Oh, I broke something else. Okay, what did I break here? Restaurant.
You forgot to switch back to the serializer method. Or did this work?
No, this is in the controller, right?
In line 9 includes instead you need the serializer.
Oh yes, you're right. Sorry. Serializer. Nope, it doesn't include the serializer. Lowercase. Good catch. I would have been looking at that for a while. Restaurants. Cool. That looked pretty good. Awesome. So also deleting the associated restaurant pizzas. There's a couple ways we can do that, right? But what is the easiest way to do that?
You could use the dependent destroy.
Exactly. We want to do that in our restaurant controller. Great. And so restaurant pizzas, when we destroy that, we want to dependent destroy here, right? Dependent destroy. So that's saying anything. This is a dependent, and call the destroy method on it. I don't think there's any other. It feels like since it's taking the destroy method as an argument there, you could have it call other things. If you wanted to get tricky with it, like if you wanted to create something when you create something, I don't know. I've never played with that. Breaking stuff. Good time. All right. Cool. And now we've got our unnecessary routes. So what we want to do is go to our oh, we want to do it over here, don't we? We want to go to our routes. We want to go to our routes. Big. And here nope, I don't want to print anything. Why? Well, let's try that again. Hide that. All right, okay. So in our routes is where we want to tell it to do only the things that we want. And the things that we want are index, show, and destroy. So index, show, and destroy. And that should take care of that, right? Why are we here? Mm-hmm. Cool. And while we're here, let's go ahead and do the other ones. So pizza has an index, and that's it. And restaurant pizzas has a crate, and that's the only one there. So index, and restaurant pizzas has only our crate. Now we should never have to look at that routes file again. Until next time. Cool. So all that. Cool. So that is our destroy. Questions there? Okay, I lost our chat again. I don't know. Oh well. Awesome. If there are no questions there, let's go ahead and do our pizzas then. And this is where we were having trouble, right? So actually let's do our get first and then our post. So pizzas, this one's gonna be super easy, right? Close some of these windows. Pizza controller. Cool. So index just wants us to return our pizzas in the format below. Super easy. You want to do our index, and we're just going to render out JSON. Render JSON pizza. Oh, I think that's literally all it wants. Yeah, cool. Done. Easy. Now we can do our last one. Post restaurant pizza. That it's a controller. Cool. So let's see what we want. We definitely want to create, right? Why? Cool. So back in our spec, we have nope, back in our spec over here. So our post is going to create a new restaurant pizza associated with an existing pizza and an existing restaurant. It will accept an object in the body that looks like that price ID and restaurant ID. If it's created successfully, it's going to send back the pizza data. Great. And I think this is where folks fall down sometimes. And then we get a error message. So let's do the create part first. So we're going to want to do our create on our yeah, let's do this. So we're going to do restaurant pizza. And I'm going to sort of step through this a little bit. Restaurant pizza create. And we're going to need to get the params. I think since they post, it makes sense to do strong grams. So I'll put a private. And these don't need to be private. I think so the purpose of making them private is to kind of reduce the surface area for problems for other programmers, which could be you next week in this project. So if we wrote a get the strong params, so def restaurant pizza params, and it returns whatever. If this wasn't private, someone else, including yourself, if you lack restraint, could say restaurant pizzas controller dot restaurant pizza params and use that somewhere else, which we probably don't want, right? We want this to be tied to this controller. So private is just for kind of protecting you from yourself, to make sure that the stuff that you're only intending to be used in this class is in there. And that also frees it up because you know that no one else is going to be depending on restaurant pizza params outside of this file. So if you decide to change the name or change how it works or do something, it's not going to affect anything else in your applications, only going to affect this file. So it really reduces that surface area for errors there. But functionality wise, you could take the private off and it would work exactly the same. It's just convention, really. That said, let's write this thing. So we have our params, and we want to only permit the price, the pizza ID, and the restaurant ID. Great. So we're going to permit our our price, our restaurant ID, and our pizza ID. Cool. No problems. Cool. So that's going to give us the parameters we need to pass to create. And it'll bomb out if we get stuff that we don't want. Restaurant pizza params. We want to assign that. There. So we so this line will create it and assign the thing that was created to this variable. There's one other little change we need to make to this line. Does anyone know what it is?
Is it exclamation point mark?
It is. Without the exclamation point, it'll still work, but it will not throw an error that we want to catch without it. So let's go ahead and catch it now. We're going to want to rescue from. And we're going to rescue from, what is it? Invalid. Yeah, it's going to be the invalid one. I think it wants. It'll probably tell us here. Unprocessable. Yeah. We're gonna want the invalid record one. Rescue from active record. I think invalid record. Yeah. And we're
The
gonna
other way around. Record invalid.
record invalid.
That's what it wants. Yeah.
It's a 422, I think. Oh, 422. I've just been using the HTTP numbers for so long. It's just way easier to remember for me that way. We're gonna want to make a little function for it to run when it's done or when it's catching it. Render record invalid. Yeah, that's fine. Exception. And here is where we're going to want to render out the JSON. What does it want? It wants, oh, and this is where, nope, I think there's another one warning you now. I think one of the other challenges, one of these is, oh no, this is it. I think they're all the same here. This is actually an array that it wants. And I've so many times I've done it myself, like returned error, validation errors without the array, and it complains every time. It's just picky that way. So we're going to want that array there. And we can return this string validation errors. Totally fine. That will absolutely work. If you wanted to do this in a full application, there's a way to get all the errors off the exception there. You can do exception errors, and it's all full messages. I believe that's right. And that will be an array. And I think that's what it's asking for when it asks you to put that in an array. But if you just make an array that says validation errors, that totally works too. It's totally fine. And we'll see if this works or not. And we want to give it the status of 422 unprocessable entity. So it's going to be a status. And we can just do like literally just the status 422. But it especially if you're working with other Rails developers, they're going to expect to see that. But if you just put 422 there, it will also totally work. And then we just put it up here, render record invalid, and we need to give it the width, make it a symbol. So that should catch that error from our create. And then it wanted a return value. So the other important thing is, so when you do a post to create it, you want to get back in your from your fetch, right? The thing that it created, so you know that, so you don't have to do another, basically get the thing you just did. So we want to have it respond with that. So let's go ahead and do that here in the create. So we're just going to render our JSON. And that's going to be, it's not going to be the restaurant pizza itself, right? It's going to be the pizza that created restaurant pizza. So we can do it two different ways, right? We can do restaurant pizza equals that, and then do pizza. Or I think it makes more sense to me, since we're just doing it here, to say .pizza there. And so pizza. So that feels more explicit to me. Either way works. Pizza. And we want to give it a 200. Array created. Because that's what it wants, right? With the yeah. I don't know if that'll get rid of all I've ever read, but I feel like it'll get rid of a lot. Let's see, what are we missing? Invalid data does not create a restaurant pizza. Returns the error messages, returns status code. What bits did I do wrong? Is it errors full message? Let's try it with
I
just
think it's supposed to be exception.record.errors.full messages.
exception.record.error. Exception record errors full messages. That sounds right. Hey, look at all that green. All right, good catch. Sweet. So yeah, that took about an hour. With a lot of talking and stuff in between. Any questions about this last part? I think this is the trickiest bit for sure.
I had the exact same thing, but it didn't work for me. I didn't pass the test.
So what is the test telling you?
It just says the count didn't increase by 1.
The count didn't increase by 1. Interesting. Would you be willing to share your screen so we can take a look at it?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay, cool. Let me stop sharing here. Cool. I think you should be able to share screen. Yep.
Okay, can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is what I had. And then if I run sorry, RSpec, it won't let me pass these 3 tests.
Okay, so that's creating the restaurant pizza. So it's not creating it. So restaurant pizza params, pizza. Aha. What is it looking for in the pizza params?
In the price, the pizza, and the restaurant.
Take a look at the README again. What's it looking for there in that top JSON?
The price, the pizza, and the restaurant. Am I not reading the right thing? It doesn't want this instead?
Nope. Read what you just read again. Only read what it says instead of what you think.
Well, do I have to pass in these numbers?
Nope.
Too? No. Okay.
What are the fields it's passing in?
Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Price. Am I being stupid?
Nope.
Is
This is something that every human does this. You're expecting something and not seeing what's actually there. So you're saying it's passing in price, pizza, and restaurant?
Do I have to do the ID?
You have to do the ID.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's taking in the pizza ID and the restaurant ID.
No, I got everything done in the first 30 minutes and then I spent the rest of the time.
That sounds like programming to me. Yep.
So I'm just gonna try this in front of you.
Yeah, awesome. Boom. There you go.
Thank you.
It's this, and this is literally the hardest part of any programmer, I think, is because we have to, just to survive, right, take these shortcuts in our brain. We can't analyze every single thing in the world around us. So when we're programming, we're like, oh yeah, pizza restaurant, why isn't it working? And like you can literally read that 5 times and say pizza restaurant, because that's kind of what you're seeing. And I don't know like what the trick is, like reading it backwards, like cutting and pasting. I've done all sorts of things to try and make my brain behave, but it's just, you know, those little details that we have to get. And you know, talking to a computer is rough. So yeah, not dumb, totally normal. Cool, awesome. So yeah, that is the whole code challenge. The other one will be very similar to this. In fact, I think I actually that's why like at the beginning I was like, am I looking at the right one? Because this was going to be the actual one that I gave you tomorrow. But we're doing it for practice instead, so you'll get a different one. Or if I forget, you get the same one, and it'll be real easy. Cool. Any other questions? Anything we missed or anything you'd like to talk about more in this one? Awesome. Everyone
Actually,
feel-
I have a quick question.
go for it. Yeah.
So I realized that the reason I was not getting any objects back was because my serializer was only returning the ID.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I think it did that because I used the resource generator, but I feel like I've also used the resource generator and it didn't just specify only ID. Did I do something to make that happen?
Yeah, it's when you put the resources, the fields that you're creating on the command line. So I will almost always do like Rails generate resource name and then go into the
Gotcha. I've got to specify that on the
so if
command
you-
line.
yeah, and then
Gotcha.
field, it will generate the serializer correctly for you.
Yeah, I think that's what I was doing
I do that
differently.
literally every time I do a Rails project. It takes me at least once or twice to be like, why is it only giving me IDs? What does it hate me? And I look in the then I remember serializers are a thing and then go look at it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. What are the questions we got? Feeling pretty good for tomorrow? Awesome. This is recorded, so once I get it up on YouTube, I'll post a link here so you can review at your leisure. Other than that, yeah, we'll stand down in a little bit and I'll see you then. Thanks for hanging out.